Do you know who the patron saint of diplomats is? How about the difference between the Vatican and the Holy See? How about how the Church has been involved in international affairs for the past 2,000 years? If not, stay tuned to this episode of Seek and Find Out. In the simplest of terms, international affairs is the study of the relations between states. It is so important in international affairs that each state's position is conveyed without ambiguity to the other, so that each state knows what the other is asking for. The people tasked with doing this are ambassadors or diplomats, and they usually act as communicators and messengers, which is fitting because in other languages, the word ambassador actually comes from the word for messenger. For example, in Russian, the word for ambassador, посол, comes from the word for messenger, which is посланник. So, even in our Catholic faith, when we think of communicating messages effectively, which saint comes to mind? How about St. Gabriel the Archangel, who is actually the patron saint of diplomats? Gabriel was tasked with conveying, on behalf of a higher power, in his case God, the births of both Jesus and John the Baptist. We hear Gabriel announce to Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, the impending birth of his son. He says, "I am Gabriel, who stand before God, and I am coming to you to announce to you this great news." We see, even in the Annunciation, how Gabriel represents God to announce the birth of Christ to Mary. In the prayer, the Angelus, the angel of the Lord declared or announced unto Mary. In the Latin text, Angelus Domini nunciavit Mariae. That word nunciare is actually the stem of the word that the Holy See uses for their ambassadors, which is nuncio. So I've mentioned the Holy See, but what is the Holy See? How is it different than the Vatican? Think of the Vatican as a piece of territory, a very small piece of territory in Rome. The Holy See is much larger than that and much older, as a matter of fact. The Holy See dates itself back to the Apostle Peter, who established the Petrine rule of the Church, the administration of the Church. And this Holy See is the jurisdiction of the entire Church. So they have rule over the Vatican City State. And in addition to that, they have jurisdiction over every diocese in the Roman Catholic Church, which completely transcends just that little piece of territory in the Vatican. Think of it this way. The Vatican was created in 1929, and it was created in a pact between Pope Pius XI and the Italian government at the time to give a headquarters, per se, of the Roman Catholic Church. All their operations would be run out of the Vatican. And the Holy See as a whole have relations with 192 countries, excluding the People's Republic of China, which is the current Chinese government, and North Korea. Those are the only two countries in the entire world. For over 2,000 years, we see how the Holy See has been taking an active role in international affairs. I think this is best exemplified in the example of Pope John Paul II. He was instrumental in promulgating the fall of communism in Europe. John Paul II, as a Pole, knew the absolute disgrace and incapability of communism and their ability to work together with the Church. And he knew it was in and of itself an evil ideology, and his language and his example gave the Poles a sense of hope, which allowed them to topple their tyrannical regime. And he echoed the phrase, "Be not afraid." And truly, what happened in Poland shifted over to the rest of Europe, and they soon followed suit. John Paul II visited 129 countries during his pontificate, which is one of the most of all world leaders in the entire history of the world. He is, if not the most well-traveled world leader, one of the most well-traveled world leaders. So even in our own lives, when we think of these international affairs, it does not just have to be all these abstract things where states communicate to each other. However, we can be ambassadors and diplomats of the Catholic faith in our own lives. Through the patronage of Saint Gabriel the Archangel, we can effectively communicate the messages of what the Catholic Church stands for in an effective manner. My name is Stephen Coutcher, and this has been Seek and Find.